Hu Tao is a very, very interesting character. I think she's very complex as a character, but we'll see kind of how she works. The first thing to know about her, she's obviously 5-star, another polearm user, the element of Pyro. If you look down here at her stats, she actually has the lowest base attack in the entire game. If I do a character comparison here, at level 90, lowest base attack is 159 for Barbara. If we go back to Hu Tao, hers is only at 106. It's interesting because I think she makes up for a lot of this with her abilities, so let's just keep trucking along then. She actually has a very high base defense. It's the same as Albedo's. It's the second highest in the game. And she ascends with crit damage, which will obviously scale extremely hard. She also has the highest HP stat in the entire game. So if I go and filter by HP this time, you can see that Jean is 14,695. Hu Tao is almost 1,000 more than that, and that's going to be really crucial for a lot of her abilities. In terms of her Ascension materials, you're going to need the Agnitis Agate crystals. These are farmed, obviously, from the Pyro Regisfine, or you can get the smaller ones from the daily commissions and the shops. Her flower is going to be the Silk Flower, which you can find in Leeway. You're also going to need to collect a bunch of these Whopper Flower Nectars, and then finally, you're going to need the Juvenile Jade, which, again, I'm going to talk about in the next video. It's going to be from the new boss fight that comes out in 1.3. So let's get into her attack talents. So similar to Zhao, her normal attack, Secret Spear of Wangsheng, it's a 6-strike polearm attack. You have normal, charged, plunging. Her actual attack scaling, it's a bit weaker than Zhao's, I would say, at least for the first initial hits. But I think a lot of her damage really comes from her abilities. So let's check those out. I want to say for these next two abilities, Guide to Afterlife and Spirit Soother, you should really pay close attention. Try to follow along with what I'm saying, because if you really want to summon for Hu Tao, these are where she's going to get the most kick out of it. So Hu Tao consumes a set portion of her HP to knock the surrounding enemies back and enter the Paramita Papilio state. And for those of you who are interested, the word papilio is actually the Latin word for butterfly, which makes sense with this picture here. So the first part of her E ability, Guide to Afterlife, is this Paramita Papilio. So it increases Hu Tao's attack based on her max HP at the time of entering this state. Attack bonus gained this way cannot exceed 300% of Hu Tao's base attack. So if we look again at Hu Tao's base attack, at level 90, 300% of this would be 106 times 3, which would be 318 attack max. And if we look back at the max base attack, that would pretty much put her right here in terms of base attack. But again, this is with the use of her E. But I don't know if she's really going to be a DPS or a support yet. Using her E ability is pretty much the central part of her kit, and that will place her just below Kaching and above Klee in terms of damage, with no other attack boosts. Paramita Papilio state also converts her attack damage to pyro damage, which cannot be overridden by any other elemental infusion. This is similar to Zhao again, where she's going to be consumed by pyro, she can't change it. Charge attacks apply Blood Blossom effect to the enemy's hit. And then this ability also, or this state also increases Hu Tao's resistance to interruption. So the Blood Blossom is interesting. It's enemies affected by Blood Blossom will take pyro damage every 4 seconds. This damage is considered elemental skill damage. So this scales with the damage of this ability. Each enemy can be affected by only one Blood Blossom effect at a time, and its duration may be only refreshed by Hu Tao herself. Paramita Papilio ends when its duration is over or Hu Tao has left the battlefield or fallen. The activation cost, meaning how much HP she's going to lose, is 30% of her current HP. So if she has 15,000 HP, she'll lose about a third of that almost, so almost 5,000 HP. The attack increase, you can see how it scales here based on her max HP. So I'm going to probably do another video after the Zhao one where I do calculations for Hu Tao and just see with like some example, HPs and attacks, what these numbers actually come out to be. The Blood Blossom damage, you can see how this scales as well. Level 8 will be 102% of her E's overall damage, I believe. The Blood Blossom duration is 8 seconds per Blood Blossom, and the duration of the entire ability is 9 seconds. Its cooldown is 16 seconds, so you'll have a fairly large gap in between when the ability ends and the subsequent use of it. All right, so let's get into her ultimate or her elemental burst ability. So Spirit Soother commands blazing spirits to attack, dealing pyro damage in a large AoE. Again, AoE is area of effect. Upon striking the enemy, regenerates a percentage of Hu Tao's max HP. This effect can be triggered up to 5 times based on the enemy's hit. And then if Hu Tao's HP is less than or equal to 50% when the enemy is hit, both damage and health regeneration are increased. Again, this is kind of going to be an important part of her kit, the fact that she has low HP. That's when her damage is really going to scale, and you can see that here. So this is her original skill damage with not below 50% HP. When she gets below 50% HP, you can see that it's almost, I want to say, when it scales up here, it's over 100% increase from the original. But down here, it's, like 70 and 80%. Skill HP regeneration, this is the similar effect. This is how much she'll regenerate above 50% HP, and this is how much she'll regenerate below 50% HP. The cooldown for this ability is 15 seconds, and the energy cost is 60, which is fairly normal. In terms of talent ascension materials, Hu Tao is going to need the teachings, the guides, and the philosophies of diligence. She's also going to need more of these Whopper Flower Nectars and the Shard of Foul Legacy, which can be obtained from the Child Boss fight, and then, as well as everyone else, the Crown of Insight at talent level 10. So let's get into her passive talents. First passive talent, the more the merrier. When Hu Tao cooks a dish perfectly, she has an 18% chance to receive an additional suspicious dish of the same type. I'm not sure how good this is going to be. I don't know what a suspicious dish is. If it ends up being a crazy attack boost or damage boost, then this could be really good. But her other two are extremely strong. So her second passive talent, Flutter By. When the Paramita Papilio state activated by Guide to Afterlife is over, her E ability, when that state is over, all allies in the party, excluding Hu Tao, will have their crit rate increased by 12% for 8 seconds. This is just a straight buff to your party in terms of how often they're going to be critting. And her final one, Sanguine Rose. When Hu Tao's HP is equal to or less than 50%, her Pyro bonus damage is increased by 33%. This is going to scale really, really well with her E ability, I believe. Yes, because it'll convert all of her damage to Pyro, so this will pretty much just add a 33% increase to that damage. So let's get into her constellations. Her C1, Crimson Bouquet. While in the state activated by her E ability, her charge attacks do not consume stamina. Honestly, in my opinion, that's a really good constellation. I think one of the most annoying things is running out of stamina when you're doing continuous charge attacks. So this will kind of just keep her cycling through damage in her E. Her C2, Ominous Rainfall, increases the Blood Blossom damage by the amount equal to 4% of Hu Tao's max HP at the time this is applied. Additionally, Spirit Soother will also apply the Blood Blossom effect. This is just a straight buff to the Blood Blossom damage, and additionally, her ultimate will now be able to trigger Blood Blossom effect. C3 just increases the max level of her E by 3. C4, Garden of Eternal Rest. Upon defeating an enemy by Blood Blossom that Hu Tao applied herself, all nearby allies in the party, excluding Hu Tao herself, will have their crit rate increased by 12% for 15 seconds. C5, Floral Incense, just increases the level of her ultimate by 3. C6, this is the ultimate whale constellation. Butterfly's Embrace. Triggers when Hu Tao's HP drops below 25% or when she suffers a lethal strike, i.e. if she were to die from getting hit. Hu Tao will not fall as a result of damage sustained. Additionally, for the next 10 seconds, all of her elemental and pyro resistance is increased by 200%. Her crit rate is increased by 100%. And her resistance to interruption is greatly increased. This effect triggers automatically when Hu Tao has 1 HP left. Can only occur once every 60 seconds. But guys, 100% crit rate increase. This is gonna be insane. So yeah, that's essentially it, guys. I know it was kind of a long one. I'm sorry for that, but I'm really excited for patch 1.3, and I hope that both of these characters are the ones that come. I think Zhao is almost guaranteed at this point, but Hu Tao we don't necessarily know yet. Anyways, if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, comment, subscribe. Otherwise, I'll catch you guys in the next one.